When a woman realizes you've lost interest in her, everything changes. The tone shifts, the air feels different, the power dynamic flips, and suddenly she sees you through a new lens. This video isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about understanding masculine strength, reclaiming your focus, and recognizing that you're not here to chase approval. You're here to build, to grow, to conquer yourself. If you're a man who's tired of giving your energy to someone who doesn't value it, then this message is for you. When you pull back, when you truly disconnect, not with bitterness, not with spite, but with cold clarity, it triggers something deep in a woman's psychology. It confronts her with the reality that your attention is not guaranteed. And let me be clear, your attention is power. Your presence is value, but only if you know how to protect it. Every man must face this moment, the moment where he chooses himself, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. The moment he stops chasing comfort and starts demanding alignment. And when that moment comes, women feel it. They sense when a man has mentally and emotionally checked out. When your soul stops orbiting around her validation, her reactions, her moods, she notices that's when the game shifts. That's when curiosity replaces comfort. That's when desire reignites. Not because you tried to make it happen, but because you became unpredictable again. You became a mystery. And understand this, mystery is masculine. Predictability is not. The modern man has been taught to over-explain, to over-pursue, to overcompensate. But the Stoics taught the opposite. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That is what this video is about. Being that man, not the man who begs to be seen, but the man who walks away when he's not. Not the man who proves his worth, but the one who lets his presence speak for itself. If she doesn't see it, that's her loss. That's the level of indifference you must master. Not because you don't care, but because you've outgrown the need for constant validation. Today, I'm going to break this down in 7 powerful parts. Each part will walk you through the psychological, emotional, and historical truths of what happens when a woman senses your emotional detachment. You will learn how to stop giving away your masculine power, how to stop being the one who chases, and how to start being the one who decides. This isn't theory. This is rooted in the reality of male psychology, ancient wisdom, and modern relationship dynamics. And if you're ready to evolve into a man who values himself more than he values being liked, then stay locked in. This channel is not for the weak-hearted. It's for men who are ready to rewire their mind and dominate their life. If that's you, subscribe now to Masculine Group, because we go deep here. Open your mind, unlearn the lies, reclaim your power, and understand when you stop caring, she starts noticing. When you pull back, she starts chasing. And when you elevate, she has to choose, rise with you, or get left behind. Shift in her energy when you detach one, the shift in her energy. When you detach, the moment a woman realizes you've lost interest, her energy changes almost instantly. It's subtle at first, shorter texts, longer glances, unexpected calls, random just checking on you messages. What you're witnessing is the shift. This shift isn't about love. It's not about connection. It's about control. When you were invested, she had power. You were predictable. Your attention was constant. Your presence reassuring. But now you're uncertain, detached, calm, and that triggers something primal in her. You've disrupted her emotional monopoly. She feels it before she understands it. You see, women are highly intuitive when it comes to emotional presence. They can sense when a man is mentally with them and when he's drifting. And when you emotionally clock out, not with drama, but with quiet focus, she feels that emptiness, that absence, that void where your energy used to be. And because feminine energy thrives on attention and connection, Your withdrawal doesn't go unnoticed. It becomes a loud silence, a silence that whispers, I no longer need you to validate me. And that silence is deafening to a woman who's grown comfortable with your constant presence. This is where the test begins, because most men panic when they see that shift. They misread it. They think she's pulling away. So they chase. They reach out more, give more, explain more. That's weakness. That's emotional slavery. And that's exactly what kills masculine respect. What you must understand is that your emotional detachment is a form of power, not coldness, not cruelty. Power. The power to walk away from what doesn't serve you. The power to hold your frame. The power to remain grounded even when the game shifts. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." When you stop craving her attention, her approval, her body, her presence, you stop being poor. You become full, self-contained. That's when she starts to notice. Because women don't chase needy men. They chase grounded men who don't need them. Your detachment communicates that you are complete without her. And that truth disrupts the entire emotional script she was used to. But here's the kicker. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to lose interest just to get a reaction. That's manipulation. And women can smell it. Detachment must come from a real place, a place where your focus has shifted to your mission, your body, your purpose, your peace. The moment you lose emotional investment is the moment you gain masculine leverage, but only if you're grounded in reality and not trying to punish her. This isn't about revenge. It's about realignment. When she feels that you're no longer orbiting her, she begins to question her position in your world. And that's when she will either rise to meet you or fade away. Both are wins. If she rises, you get a woman who respects your strength. If she fades, you clear space for a woman who values it. But the key is to remain unshaken. You don't beg for closure. You don't explain your detachment. You simply move quietly, intentionally, like a man who doesn't negotiate his self-worth. So when her energy shifts, when she suddenly wants to talk, when she starts testing your availability again, don't lose composure. Don't go back to being the man who chased her shadow. Stay rooted. Let her earn your attention back. Let her feel what it's like to lose a man who values himself more than her opinion. That's when she truly sees you. Not the version she tried to mold, but the real you, the masculine you, the unshakable you. Power shift, power shift. The minute you lose interest, the entire power dynamic between you and her flips. And here's the part that most men never grasp. She notices, not just in your words, but in your energy, in your silence, in the absence of emotional investment that used to be there. Women know when a man is no longer prioritizing them emotionally, and that shift creates uncertainty in her world. But here's what separates the average man from the grounded masculine man. The average man gives in the moment she pulls away. The grounded man doesn't flinch. You were once the source of constant validation, reassurance, attention. You were texting her every morning, responding instantly, always making yourself emotionally available. You did it because you thought it made her feel secure. But in truth, it made you predictable. Predictability is not attractive. It breeds comfort, and comfort breeds complacency. When a woman becomes complacent, she stops appreciating what you bring to the table. Your value becomes assumed. That's when disrespect enters. That's when she stops prioritizing you, stops admiring you, starts testing you. And if you're still chasing her at that point, you're already done. But now you've shifted. You stopped feeding the connection with your attention. You stopped reacting to her emotional bait. You started reclaiming your time, your focus, your self-respect. That's when the power shift happens. Because now, instead of you wondering what she's wondering what's going on with you. Instead of you chasing her silence, she's questioning your peace. The game has changed, but only if you stay grounded in that detachment. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Translate that to relationships. Your true power is not in how much you give a woman. It's in how little you need her to feel full. When you detach, not as a tactic, but as a reflection of your growth, she feels the weight of that independence. And that's when the tables turn. She will start to reach, to test, to provoke. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she wants to know if she still has you. This is where many men get trapped. She sends a late night, "I miss you," and you respond like you've been starving for it. She shows up looking sexy, and suddenly you're all in again. That's emotional weakness. And she sees it. It confirms to her that your detachment was fake, that you were just trying to get a reaction. And now you've lost the frame again. But the grounded man, he doesn't bite. He doesn't rush back into her orbit. He watches, he observes. He stays composed, not because he doesn't feel, but because he's trained his emotions. That is true. Masculine strength. The power shift only remains if you remain unmoved. She has to feel the gap between who you were and who you've become. And that gap must be wide enough to make her wonder, did I lose him? That's the question that triggers desire. That's the space where she reevaluates your worth. But that only happens when you stop filling the space with your neediness. Let the space do the work. Let silence speak. Let distance breed curiosity. And most importantly, let your absence remind her of your value. Understand this. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting down. It's about choosing where to invest. And if she didn't protect your emotional investment, she doesn't deserve it again for free. The man who knows this never begs, never explains, never chases. He simply steps back and lets her come to terms with the fact that she just lost something rare. Not because he made her feel it, but because she took it for granted. That's the essence of the power shift. When silence hit her three, when silence hits her, silence is a man's loudest weapon. When you go quiet, not out of spite, not as a strategy, but from genuine loss of interest, it shakes her. Women are wired for communication, emotional exchange, and validation. When a man who once gave all three goes silent, it triggers something deep. She starts to question everything. She starts replaying conversations, rereading texts, examining her own actions. And that's where the psychological pressure builds. Not because you punished her, but because you stopped feeding the connection. You have to understand, silence isn't passive. It's powerful. It signals one thing clearly. You're done talking, and in a world where most men talk too much, explain too much, and plead too much, silence becomes dominance. Women respect men who can walk away quietly. A man who doesn't need to argue to defend himself or to win her approval is a man who has already won. He has won over himself. That's real power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Apply that to relationships. Your best response is not to mirror her games, her manipulation, or her emotional instability. Your best response is silence, distance, calm. That silence speaks volumes. It says, "I've moved on." It says, "I've reclaimed my time." It says, "Your actions no longer affect me." And that more than any argument or explanation hits the feminine mind the hardest. But here's where men break. They get uncomfortable with the silence. They feel the tension and they rush to fix it. They reach out to clear the air, to check in, to keep the connection alive. And in doing so, they kill the effect. That silence has to be held. It has to be honored because it creates space for her to feel, to reflect, to miss. If you break the silence too soon, she doesn't feel the loss. She doesn't feel your absence. And if she doesn't feel it, she doesn't change. Women don't miss you when you talk too much. They miss you when you vanish, when you stop explaining yourself, when your presence fades and your energy goes inward. That's when she starts to feel the weight of what she lost. But you have to be strong enough to hold the line. That means no chasing, no reacting to her breadcrumbs, no checking up on her indirectly, no watching her stories, liking her posts, or trying to trigger a response. That's weakness. And a grounded man doesn't entertain weakness. Let your silence reflect your value. Let your calm become her chaos. Let your detachment create discomfort. And if she can't handle it, let her go. Because a woman who needs your energy to feel secure but doesn't respect it when she has it is not a woman worth keeping around. You're not here to babysit emotions. You're here to build legacy, to master yourself, to lead with purpose. If she can't align with that, silence her access to you. This is not about being cold. It's about being disciplined. It's about choosing peace over drama, focus over confusion, silence over noise. The man who understands this doesn't chase women. He attracts them. Because women feel safest with men. They can't emotionally control. Your silence is not emptiness. It's structure. It's control. It's the boundary that says, I only engage where I'm respected. And when she realizes that, if she's smart, she'll adjust. If not, you've already won because you chose yourself without saying a single word. When she starts to chase for, the tests begin. Once she senses that you've pulled back for real, she doesn't just chase, she tests. And this is where most men fall. Understand this. When a woman realizes she no longer has control over you emotionally, she will try to regain it. Not always by affection, but by subtle emotional pressure. She'll test your boundaries. She'll provoke a reaction. She'll try to pull you back into the old role, the one where she called the shots and you followed. And if you're not grounded, you'll take the bait. She may ask you where you've been with that sarcastic tone. She might post something to get your attention. She might act like she doesn't care anymore just to see if you'll react. This is not random behavior. This is her trying to measure how far she can still reach into your world. And if you break, if you go back to over-explaining, over-exting, defending your distance, you fail the test. You've just told her you still control my emotions. And from that point, it's only a matter of time before she checks out again. This is why you need discipline. A man without emotional discipline is a puppet. The Stoics taught this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her actions are outside events. Her games, her silence, her flirtations with other men. Outside events. You don't control them, but you control how you respond. And your response must be grounded in stillness. Let her test. Let her throw shade. Let her flirt in your face. Stay unshaken. Your silence and calm are more effective than any argument or confrontation. A woman will respect a man. She can't rattle far more than one she can control. Because in her mind, if she can move you emotionally, she owns you. If you react to everything she does, you're still her. You're emotionally reactive, weak, and available for manipulation. But when she sees you unfazed, when her tests fall flat, that's when her attraction deepens. Because now you're not the guy chasing. You're the guy she's trying to reach, the one she can't figure out, the one she can't manipulate. And women are drawn to mystery, not because they love pain, but because it challenges them. It keeps them emotionally engaged. Predictability is the enemy of desire. Emotional control is the fuel of it. Now, some men get this wrong and go into toxic coldness. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not telling you to shut down or be cruel. I'm telling you to be centered, to remain calm when she tries to shake you, to be still when she expects reaction, to show her that your self-worth isn't tied to her approval. That's not manipulation. That's leadership. That's masculinity. You lead by example, not emotion. You let her feel your strength, not through volume, but through discipline. If she sees that her tests don't move you, she either submits to your frame or removes herself from your life. Either way, you win because the right woman will admire your restraint. The wrong woman will be frustrated by it. And that's exactly what you want. You want to filter out the women who only want control and attract the ones who want to grow with you. So when the tests begin, smile inside because it means you're doing something right. It means she feels your shift. It means your silence is working. But don't flinch. Don't explain. Don't break. Let her wonder. Let her chase. Let her prove she's worth coming back for. Until then, stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay you. Here's the final conclusion truth, brother. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, she doesn't just react, she reveals. She shows you everything you missed when you were busy proving your worth. You see the cracks in the illusion. You see the mask fall. She starts seeking attention elsewhere. She tries to pull emotional strings. She may even try to provoke jealousy. Why? Because your detachment is power. And power in the hands of a man who finally understands his worth is threatening. She never thought you'd walk. She never believed you'd stop trying. That's why her panic kicks in. But hear this clearly. You were never in her heart, just in her plans. You were the backup, the safety net, the predictable fallback who was always available. And the moment you stopped being that man, she no longer had control. Think about Marcus Aurelius again. He ruled the most powerful empire in the world, but lived like a humble philosopher. He loved deeply, served loyally, but never chained his peace to anyone's presence. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is your final message. Detachment is not indifference. It is the highest form of self-control. It means you can love, but not lose yourself. It means you can care, but not collapse when someone walks away. A man who understands detachment cannot be manipulated. He's not cold. He's free. When she realizes you've lost interest, it's not the end. It's the beginning of her true test. Will she step up and match your value? Or will she disappear and confirm your decision? That silence you give her, it echoes louder than any argument. That calm refusal to chase, it speaks more than 1,000 messages. Let her wonder. Let her doubt. Let her finally realize that the man she thought she had wrapped around her finger was actually a lion, walking on his own terms. Brothers, if you've made it this far, understand this. Masculinity is not about being emotionless. It's about being unmoved by things that don't serve your purpose.